Breaking overnight, the search for the Egypt Air flight that suddenly went missing from radar with 66 people on board. What the Egyptian Prime Minister is saying about the flight.
Woman lost consciousness.
Her life.
Good morning. Thanks so much for joining us on Virginia Today here on WSLS 10. I'm Jenna Zim 10.
And I'm Patrick McKee, and we are starting off like we have pretty much every day this week. Gloomy, drizzly, foggy, and even some rain for some folks.
In case you need video proof, here's a live look at Blacksburg from our Virginia Tech Sky
There it
Cam.
is.
Exactly what we've been talking about for what it seems like is days now, Christina.
Right, we are going to see mainly
6:02, we continue following a developing story this morning after an Egypt Air flight went missing overnight, disappearing from radar over the Mediterranean Sea. The flight was carrying 66 passengers and crew from Paris to Cairo. The Egyptian Prime Minister says it's too early to say whether it was a technical problem or a terror attack, and nothing is being ruled out at this point. According to Egyptian officials, the jet was about 10 miles into Egyptian airspace when it vanished.
The plane's trace just stops at 37,000 feet. It suggests dramatic, it suggests loss of power, complete loss of power to the aircraft, either by explosive or otherwise, because the plane suddenly stops reporting.
There is no official confirmation of what happened. We are learning this morning no Americans were on board the plane. This is, of course, a developing story. We'll continue bringing you updates throughout the morning right here on Virginia Today and on WSLS.com.
6:03 now.
Closing arguments will be delivered later today for one of 6 officers charged in connection to the death of Freddie Gray. Edward Nero is charged with assault, misconduct in office, and reckless endangerment. Prosecutors say he was negligent when he failed to secure Gray in the police van during his arrest. But Nero's defense argued restraining a suspect was the responsibility of the driver. 25-year-old Gray died while in custody in April last year.
Memorials continue today across Southwest Virginia in
A 12-year-old girl in Botetourt County thanks rescue workers for saving her mother's life. This comes as the country recognizes fire and EMS workers this week. WSLS 10's Rob Manch brings us the life-saving story.
Emergency crews rushed here in Botetourt County. Rob Manch, WSLS 10.
After 2 years of work, construction at Glanville High School now complete, and this weekend is your first chance to get a look inside.
Sunday afternoon, there will be an open house where anyone can.
Fewer Americans are planning to go into debt to take a vacation this summer. According to a new report by creditcards.com, 8 in 10 Americans who plan to take a summer vacation will pay for it with money they've saved. 15% will finance it with a credit card, and 13% plan to use credit card rewards points or miles. People are watching their budgets more closely, even if it means scaling back on vacation or skipping it entirely.
You go on vacation to get de-stressed. You don't need to be stressing out while on vacation about how to pay for that vacation.
And there's so many cool things to do right here in Virginia, so you don't have to go very far to get a break.
So true. 7-Eleven taking.
Combating gun violence in the River City, how people in Danville are coming together, rallying for change following a string of shootings in Southside.
As a woman, I am not afraid to come to work, and I am not ashamed to be a member of this fire department.
Firefighter harassment, how females say they're treated following the death of a fellow firefighter.
Plus, we continue following a plane crash out of the Mediterranean. We'll have more on that story after weather and traffic. Good morning. Thanks so much for joining us on Virginia Today here on WSLS 10. I'm Jenna Zim 10.
And I'm Patrick McKee, and lather, rinse, repeat. We're doing it all over again in the weather department yet again for today.
Take a live look at Martinsville from our New College Institute Sky Cam. It's starting to get light outside, but Christina, you can't see the beautiful sunrise because once again, we have rain showers around.
right. We are watching a
New this morning, the state has compiled a resource guide for families of missing Virginians. The document prompted by the Virginia State Crime Commission's 2014 study on missing persons and search and rescue teams. The commission asked the Department of Criminal Justice Services to write a brochure giving Virginians advice on what to do when a family member goes missing. It includes contact information for state and national organizations.
More than 100 people died.
The lone survivor of a deadly shooting that took the lives of 2 local journalists is sharing what she's learned.
It was tragic. It was horrible. It was something that one would never expect.
Vicki Gardner says she'll never forget August 26th. The Smith Mountain Lake executive was shot on live TV. Now she's talking to business leaders in Petersburg about overcoming adversity. The city's seen its share of violence with 11 shootings so far this year. Gardner says there's power in communities coming together.
When bad things come our way, how we can turn them around. We can wallow in it and we can fight against it, or we can embrace it and find a way to turn it into something that is good for the community.
Monetary gifts from all over the world are helping turn tragedy into Vicki's vision of a community center near Smith Mountain Lake.
6:35 now on Female Fun. This year marking 50 years since Glanville High School opened its doors. Since 1966, very little's changed or been updated. That is, until now.
A total renovation of the high school now finished, and this morning we're getting the first look inside. WSLS 10's Aaron Brookshire got an early tour of the updating building and joins us live with the changes.
Yeah, and some very big changes.
Build.
A movie about an interracial couple from Virginia receives rave reviews after its debut at the Cannes Film Festival this week. Loving tells the story of Richard and Mildred Loving, who married during the 1950s, which at that time it was prohibited by state law. Their love for each other changed history through the landmark 1967 Supreme Court case Loving versus Virginia. The movie was filmed in parts of the Commonwealth and included extras from around the state. It's set to debut here in November. This has gotten a lot of buzz since it was announced last year.
Yes, it has.
And a lot of people looking forward to seeing it. Well, we're more than halfway through the WSLS 10 Virginia Proud Weather Tour. 24 Virginia counties in just 21 days.
Just 1 week left. Our last stop's coming up next, California.
The controversy surrounding political bias at Facebook continues this morning. A recent post on CEO Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook page says he knows that many Republicans don't trust the website. This comes immediately after he met with 16 high-profile conservative leaders and media figures at the company's headquarters in California. Participants said the meeting was productive, encouraging, and long overdue. The allegations are focused on Facebook's trending section.
Facebook has the ability to kind of dictate what is popular, what's going to, show up higher in their algorithm versus lower, and as a result, it shapes the way that, publishers are compiling their news and also sharing it.
The goal of the meeting was to show how Facebook picks the news stories. Facebook says it hasn't found any evidence to support the claims.
Congressman Bob examined.
Happening today, the TSA is expected to talk about the upcoming summer travel season later this morning. The TSA providing travel tips and demonstrating the impact of bringing prohibited items to the airport. They'll set up working security lanes with volunteers to show the difference between a group of passengers with prohibited items and one without. The TSA has recently come under fire for long lines and extended wait times caused by staffing issues.
6:49 in summer is 6:55. Here's 5 things you need to know before heading out the door on this Thursday morning.
We're learning new information this hour on a developing story overseas. Just minutes ago, France's president announced that an Egypt air flight with 66 people on board crashed while en route from Paris to Cairo this morning. The Egyptian prime minister says it's too early to say whether it was a technical problem or a terror attack, but nothing is being ruled out at this point. Flight 804 was about 10 miles into Egyptian airspace at an altitude of nearly 37,000 feet when it vanished shortly before it was due to land over the Mediterranean Sea. Egyptian, France, and Greek teams are searching for the jet in the area it was last reported. There are crisis centers now set up to take care of passengers' families.
It is through the